Hi, I'm Matt from Reed's Custom Food Plots. Welcome to our shop. We've made it here today to talk to you a little bit about some basic maintenance things and some troubleshooting that I think is going to save you a ton of time as you get out into the field. The number one thing that we see in food plot equipment that is overlooked is greasing it. One of the pieces of equipment that we use often around here is this cordless grease gun. I would highly recommend, if you don't have a cordless grease gun, to get yourself one. They're efficient, they're fast, and really they're pretty fun to use. So one of the nice things about this Great Plains grain drill is it does have a grease bank that makes greasing all of the row units pretty simple. You look on the side of the machine, there are 9 grease zerks already on this bank, all right in one place. Stick your grease gun in here, pull your button on your grease gun. Next thing you know, you've got all of your row units greased. Do that 9 times and you're ready to go. The other place that's really important to pay attention to on this grain drill is your drive chain as well as your gearbox chain. You want to keep those lubed on a daily basis. It's a very simple thing. Simply go into your chain, lube those up that way. You'll rotate that chain all the way around until you've got it all. Same in your gearbox down here and your drive chain up here. Those are your 3 chains in here. Keep those lubed up and ready to go. Should be problem-free for a long time. Wanted to address some common troubleshooting problems with what most people think is a maintenance-free piece of equipment, that being a disc. Most discs have greasable bearings. We talked many times about the importance of grease. So if your disc has bearings that are greasable, make sure that they're being greased regularly. Second thing that we see quite often is on the ends of these gangs, there are big nuts on the ends. These nuts have a way of wiggling loose. If those nuts tend to wiggle loose, your whole gang becomes loose. You can very easily bend or break a gang shaft. The absolute best way to check the gang nuts, other than running down and feeling them, is to take your toe and kick your disc. So come to each side, give it a kick. If they're solid and they don't make any noise, you know you're in good shape. Third thing that we hear a lot of people say, that they think there's something wrong with their disc because their disc is either leaving a hump in the back or it's leaving big ridges on the outside. Generally speaking, there's nothing wrong with your disc. It has everything to do with the adjustment of your disc or your speed. If you're getting a lot of dirt in places you don't want it, you're getting mounds, you're getting ridges, first and foremost, try slowing down and see if that helps. If that doesn't help, you need to make some adjustments to your disc. On this disc, you can adjust the angles of these gangs. We find that most people never touch the angles of the gangs, but you'll see in here we've got bolt holes on this AMCO disc that you can change the angle of the gangs. The more straight that is, the less of a hump you're going to leave. The more aggressive that is, the more dirt you're going to turn up and move over time. The other thing that you can do is adjust the tilt of your disc. On this particular tractor, we have these equipped with a hydraulic top link. This can all be controlled from the seat of the tractor, adjusting the up and down tilt of that disc. Always pick your disc up out of the ground anytime you're making a turn. 2 things happen if you leave that disc in the ground. One is you're going to put dirt where you don't want to put dirt, and it puts a lot of stress on your bearings and your shafts, and eventually those things are going to break if you keep turning with that disc in the ground. Hydraulic top link for most tractors will run you $175 to $250. Money well spent. It's a much easier adjustment from inside the cab or from the station of the tractor than it is getting off and actually having to manually turn that to make your tilt go back and forth. One of the most frustrating things we hear guys talk about is they get to their property, all they want to do is spray their weeds, spray their roads, get ready to plant their food plots in a couple months. They go to use their sprayer and it doesn't work. Generally speaking, the sprayer is functioning and it's working correctly. It is something that's just plugged up that needs to get cleaned out. All of these tanks have hoses that come in or out, and almost all of those have a filter of some sort associated with it. It's not at all uncommon for those filters to get plugged. This one in particular is pretty handy. The main filter is up on the top of the tank, but the vast majority of tanks that we see actually have filters that are on the bottom side of the tank or they're on the end of the tank, and that screen gets plugged up and you can't even see it. So make sure that you've checked all those screens before you put chemical in it. Make sure that they're clear and that they're functioning correctly. Second most common place that we see problems arise is in the nozzle body itself. So in the nozzle body itself is made up of a couple of different components. The bottom component is actually your spray tip. There's a rubber seal in there, and then there's generally a screen. A lot of times those screens will in fact get plugged with little parts that go through your tank and whatnot. A lot of times it's as simple as taking that screen out, unplugging it, putting it back together, and away you go. The top part of that nozzle body, there's a diaphragm in there with a little spring, and a lot of times if that spring gets mud or dirt in it, that spring will stick open and your nozzle won't either won't shut off or it'll get stuck closed and it won't come on. It's as simple as disengaging that spring. You take the top of the nozzle off, you press that spring in and out a little bit, clean any debris that's in there, screw it back on, make sure it's on tight, and bang, you're back to spraying again. Those are the most common problems that we see. Obviously there's many. These little pumps are famous for failing, but most often it's not the pump that fails first. It's going to be one of these other places that the unit got plugged up along the way. Hopefully that helps you a little bit and your spraying will be successful from here on out.